The brand new Dungeons & Dragons 2024 Player's Handbook is just around the corner. In fact, on D&D Beyond, you can create a character using the 2024 rule set right now. My campaign is planning on switching to the 2024 rule set midway through, but I imagine some D&D groups might not be switching to the new rule set because of backwards compatibility issues or other hindrances that they may occur. So in this video, we are documenting the changes, headaches, and frustrations that me and my players run into when we change our characters from the 2014 rule set to the 2024 rule set. All of our characters are level 9 when we switch, and we are using D&D Beyond to switch from 2014 to 2024, trying to recreate them as closely as possible. So, how easy is it? We're going to start with the easy ones and get to the more complex ones at the end of the video. Updating our first character goes pretty smoothly. We are updating Arendros Wickic. He is a hermit, half-elf, monk. First, let's start with the background. The hermit's old ability was Discovery. It is a non-mechanical ability where the player and the DM need to work together to try to find some sort of mysterious discovery that the character discovered themselves, and that will tie their backstory into the overall campaign as a whole. But each background now gives a feature, making them a little bit more powerful than before. In Arendros' case, he gets the healing feat, which means he can use a healer's kit to heal allies and bring them back from unconsciousness instead of stabilizing them. A big change came to half-elf, and this is the first example of a problem that we ran into, being that half-elf doesn't exist in 2024. So to build Arendros in the current 2024 D&D Beyond, we had to choose a new race, or a new species. And for Arendros, he chose High Elf, which gives him a little bit of magical powers, a cantrip, and detect magic, and Misty Step eventually. But sadly, he lost a point to ability scores, as every single background in the 2024 rules gives you 3 points to distribute to your ability scores. And Half-Elf in 2014 gave you 4 points. So his character has lost 1 point in ability scores. He also lost some skill proficiencies, as the Half-Elf gives you just a selection of any of the skills. For Arendros' class, in 2014, he was a Monk Way of Long Death subclass. Now, Monk got a lot of new abilities in its core class, and that's awesome, but I'm not comparing power levels in this video. I'm just seeing if there's anything that the players and DMs need to change or modify in this creation to keep the characters as honest and accurate to what they were in the 2014 rule set. The only ability Arendros will lose is Stillness of Mind, which he used to get at level 7. Now that is replaced with a new ability at level 10, which he does not yet have, so he has lost that ability temporarily. Originally, I thought we wouldn't have the Way of Long Death subclass, as it's not in the 2024 Player's Handbook. And then, at this spot in the video, I would make a point to say that you can add it in on your own and work with your DM to port an older subclass into 2024. But D&D Beyond has older subclasses when making a 2024 character, so we were easily able to make Arendros. D&D Beyond just showed my argument precisely. Just because it's not in the 2024 Player's Handbook doesn't mean you can't use it. Whether you think that the older subclasses are the same power level as the newer, revised ones is up to you and your DM to discuss. And then, if you think that they need to be improved, you can. But regardless, you are able to use the older subclasses. Next up, we have Radag Ithilgan. He is a Witherbloom student, Goliath, Warlock. First, the background, Witherbloom student is not available in the 2024 D&D Beyond. We're gonna have to find something else to use. In this case, we used the Guide subclass, and it allows him to choose Druid spells, which is what he got from the Witherbloom student background. The one problem with the new background is the ability score improvements does not allow him to upgrade Charisma, which is what he would want to upgrade as a Warlock. I'm gonna have to explain a little rule that I am using for recreating our characters. Because in my campaigns, we roll random stats. We are imagining that as long as you can get the same amount of ability score improvements and the same total points increase along your character creation from 0 to level 9, we are imagining that the rolls you got would have allowed you to create the same statistic. So even though he can't upgrade charisma in this one, we are imagining that he put a higher stat into charisma from the start, and he put a lower stat into something else, but ended up being the same balance. But for Arendros, where he only got 3 points from his background instead of 4 points from his old species, that I made sure to point that out in that. Anyways, moving on. The final point is because of his background change, he now has stealth and survival proficiencies instead of nature and survival proficiencies. For the species, the Goliath is now in the player handbook, and so that's pretty sweet. It also got upgraded in a lot of ways, which I want to point out because I'm excited about it. His movement speed increased by 5. He has this giant growth ability that lets him have advantage on strength checks and also move 10 feet faster for 10 minutes, which that's awesome. Additionally, he can still choose the same exact stone's endurance ability if he chooses the right lineage, which he has decided to do. For his class, he has lost 2 things. The first one is Green Flame Blade is not an option to be picked on D&D Beyond, and so he has opted to choose True Strike. And now True Strike has been changed from its mostly useless cantrip from before to a cantrip that lets you attack, like use a weapon attack as if it's magical and stuff. And that's really sweet. So he's elected to take that instead of Green Flame Blade. The other change is, while he has gotten more invocations, he has lost Far Scribe from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which was a really big ability for his character. It's like a core identity of his character, is he has this book with lots of pages. He's a pact of the book. However, like I said before, he got a little bit more invocations, and he chose to take the Gaze of Two Minds invocation, which me and Tim agree is the closest thing to the Far Scribe, but it's not exactly the same. Overall, 1 extra invocation, as he gets 2 more, but he needs to spend 1 on the old Pact of the Book. So overall, he only has 1 extra invocation to spend elsewhere now. However, he also got some other cool abilities like Magical Cunning, and he can commune with his patron. So overall, very sweet. Oh my goodness, somebody's at my door. I need to go out to the living room real quick. Hello? So, for this next character, we have a special guest. My #1 supporter and my longest running patron, Derek Bowman.
Hi everyone.
So tell us about your character. What's his name?
So his name is Arvin Sourgaze.
And what is the background species and class?
So he was a variant human pirate. He was a wild magic sorcerer.
Okay, so pirate. Were there any problems in switching from 2014 to 2024?
There's no longer pirate. The next natural option would be sailor, but Arvin's not really one for bar fighting, so it wasn't a great choice. And so I kind of side shifted and did charlatan, which gives me the opportunity to take the same kind of skills like water, vehicles, navigator's tools, and then I actually picked up an extra one, so we did survival.
So you got an extra skill from it.
I got an extra skill.
Nice. Okay, next up, what is the variant human doesn't exist anymore as well?
Nope, just human. So not being variant human, you don't get to pick full feat. So I had to pick a half feat, a starter feat, and there is, before with variant human, I'd taken telekinesis, which is no longer an option, and so the closest thing to that was probably Druid Magic Initiate.
Okay.
Which doesn't really fit, but it gave me the opportunity to pick up a couple extra spells as a sorcerer, and I thought it was the coolest one.
So for the telekinesis, did you get that feat back later with an ability score improvement?
I did. At level 4, that's the feat I took, and previously I'd taken an ASI at that point, but this time I took the feat, and then later on, when I got my second ASI, I actually took the points towards charisma instead, and didn't get my inspiring leader feat.
And finally, the
cut
class.
that part out.
So finally, sorcerer.
Yes, so Sorcerer had quite a few big changes to it. Namely, we now get Sorcerer's Rage, which is pretty awesome. There's a couple new spells in there. Swapped out Firebolt for a new Sorcerer exclusive cantrip. Cool.
Sorcerer's Burst.
Yeah, that one.
You would have only 3 ability score increases / features at your disposal before. Right. Now you only have 2. What would you lose from the species change?
So I lost Inspiring Leader, which, it's a nice buff for the whole party after every short rest. At this point, you'd get 14 extra hit points for everybody in the party. Mm-hmm. Now we'll just probably wipe.
We'll probably all die. And finally, is there any last thoughts on the upgrading the character? How difficult was it for you to upgrade it? And would you choose to upgrade it rather than stick with the 2014?
I thought it was more or less a pretty straightforward change. I think other classes and other races might have a lot more changes. I'm pretty happy with the changes all in all. I picked up 4 extra spells that I didn't have before just because the new rules give you more sorcerer spells and some extra cantrips and stuff.
Did you answer in your section if you switched to 2024?
I switched to 2024.
Great. Bong bong. So far, each character has had to change a small amount of things to keep their character identity the same. But sometimes when we use more advanced options in alternate books from the 2014 Player Handbook, those options are no longer available in the D&D Beyond 2024 character builder.
So, our next character is in the slightly difficult category because there's a small... Oh, sorry, I'm getting a call. Hello?
Hey there, Just Weston. This is Mitch.
Oh, what's up,
calling
Mitch?
You to discuss my character changes. I know you said you wanted to make that video today.
I was going through that right now, so if you would like to, you can talk about it.
Oh, perfect. I'm at Walmart here just kind of looking at the plushies and the cups, so just figured I'd had some time to chat. What are your questions? Hit me with it.
Okay, what is your character in the 2014 rules?
Oh my goodness. Firstly, to any DMs out there, do not let your players play this. By no means. I am a failed merchant background, Chronergy wizard, that is a Shadar Kai elf named Malepnos. He is a brain with no body, but is fully an elf.
Now, was there any difficulty in switching your character over to 2024 edition?
Well, believe it or not, just about none of those exist in 2024. So, with the background, there's no failed merchant. Apparently, all the merchants have to be successful. So I went with artisan, which made my character stats abilities score increase a little easier because they all just went into intelligence. Classic wizard. When it comes to the elf, again, Shadar Kai is not really existent. So I went with high elf, which gave me some access to or one more cantrip, but I lost some of the Shadar Kai abilities, like the, free abilities to teleport and change what cool proficiencies you have or weapon proficiencies you have after you trance. And then with the Chronergy wizard, also doesn't really exist, so I went with Diviner. What's up? How's it going? Good to see ya. Gosh, I'm just on the phone here talking to Just Weston. Hey, I think I found Derek Bowman, your Patreon. Hey, I got $5 for you.
All right, make sure to get that to me by the end of the video.
Anyway, yeah, Chronergy Wizard doesn't really exist in 2024, so I went with the Diviner. It was mostly the same. Instead of Chronal Shifts, you have your Portents. I also had a feat that is Eldritch Adept that allowed me to cast Disguise Self as many times as I would like in the day. That doesn't exist in 2024, so I instead took the Lucky feat because my DM loves it when I ask him to make rerolls. So,
thanks.
Thank you, Just Weston. Are there any other questions that you had for me?
Yeah, so overall, how difficult would you say it was, and would you rather stick to your 2014 character?
Gosh, well, overall, not very difficult to switch. I think 2024 has made it really easy to figure out and make choices. In terms of would I switch? Maybe. My character right now can do a whole lot, but that is by design. So if the DM wanted to take my character and balance it, then yeah, I would switch over to 2024. I have no problems doing that. Definitely change the balancing a little bit.
Well, The great thing with Dungeons and Dragons is each individual party and each DM can adjust the settings however they want. And so, because you lost so many of what made your class special to you, we can work around it and add it to the game ourselves.
Perfect. Wow. Thanks, Just Weston. I'm doing a thumbs up, but I'm at Walmart right now, standing in the women's clothes section next to some jumpers and sweaters. So I don't really know if the camera's got that.
Well, thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you, Just Weston. And everybody, be sure to subscribe to Just Weston on
All
YouTube.
right. Nope. All right. Shout out to Mitch. Anyways, continuing.
So as we've seen with the first category, the easy, we sometimes have small hiccups to deal with. And with the second category, we sometimes have a few hiccups to deal with. But sometimes you have a character that you just don't want to recreate because of how complicated it is. And so finally, we have the last category, the ugly. George is a special case in this endeavor. For this video, I originally sat down with Paul, the player of the character, and we went through the entire process of recreating George. And it was going to be in this video, but after editing most of the footage, it would be way too long. So instead, I will be making that into its own video, which will come out soon, and it will be linked in the description once it's done. But for now, I will narrate all the changes to this fun, exciting character. So, George is a farmer, halfling, bard, fighter, artificer, sorcerer, warlock, rogue. Yep, we'll be stress testing this comparison today. So let's start off simple with his species. Halfling is basically unchanged. Now, they have removed the stout variant of the halfling and left only the Lightfoot variant, but George was already a Lightfoot variant, and so we are personally unaffected by this. He also got 5 more feet of movement and a new language. Next is his background. We used a homebrew farmer for the 2014 rule set, which we found online. And now there's an actual farmer in the 2024 book. Sweet! It gives the tough feat, which is amazing, and it gives the exact same proficiencies as the old ones. However, the old farmer lets you know what time of day it is, roughly where you're located, and what the weather will be like in the next hour. And so he lost that ability, which is honestly very nice for me. Now, onto his class or classes. Now, I will be keeping it quick and going over all the positive and negatives, just listing them out very quickly. So Bard, he's level 2 in this class. He gained expertise. The Artificer, he was level 1 in 2014. We lost the Artificer class, and so he will be playing a Wizard instead. Overall, he will get 1 more cantrip and 1 more spell, but he loses magical tinkering. Fighter, level 1. He gained weapon masteries, which he chose the sling, longbow, and dagger. Rogue, level 2. He gained a new language from Thieves' Cant. Warlock, level 2. He lost the Great Old One subclass, which included Awakened Mind, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and Dissonant Whispers. But he gained an extra invocation. However, he can no longer take Beast Speech. He also gained Magical Cunning. Sorcerer, level 1. He lost the Clockwork Soul subclass. He lost Restore Balance, Alarm, and Protection from Good and Evil. But he gained Innate Sorcery. So that was George. It's a stupid class. For anybody wondering, it's not the choose one level of every single class. George is playing a character where he basically has no talents. He started as a level 1 bard, and every level up, he would choose who he spent the most time with over the last level, and he would copy their class. So he has a smattering of all the other players' classes. We used to have a fighter in the campaign, but the fighter died. And we had an artificer join for a couple of sessions, and he picked up that class really early on. So his class is a mess. He hasn't gotten a single ability score increase. It is pretty funny, though. But it shows the point that he lost his subclasses because of the subclass change. Now, every subclass you get at level 3, and since he hasn't gotten a single class to level 3, he lost the subclasses he used to have, which was the Warlock and the Sorcerer. And so, if you're porting an early adventure campaign, or somebody who dipped into one of those as a multi-class, they might lose that subclass, but you could always rule that they keep it. You'll have to be the judge of that. But for our purposes, he no longer has those subclasses. And so, how was this entire transition from 2014 to 2024? I'd say it was relatively easy. And a lot of the players are really excited to use the updated characters, which we will use once we get our hands on the physical book. I would heavily recommend looking into it a bit more. Just if you're worried about subclasses, just port them in, see if they feel like they're on the same power level. You don't want any character to feel way less powerful or way more powerful than another, so you just have to use your judgment for that. Some characters, if you're following the exact rules on D&D Beyond or in the player's handbook, some characters will lose their species or their background. And in those cases, you either choose a new species or background, or maybe that will persuade you to stick with the 2014 rules until your campaign ends. Overall, every single group is different. I just wanted to show my experience with this switch so that you can make your own decision on if it's worth it for you. Well, anyway, I've got to go out and do the outro now, so see you later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you learned how well it is to switch from the 2014 to 2024 handbook. Thank you to my patron, Derek Bowman, for supporting me.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your continued patronage.
Gold!
Bye!
Is your money back?